I'm Sean.
You know what? Welcome to Barstools and
Bandtalk. That's it.
and that's
yeah.
all she fucking wrote.
Well, and you know what? And just to put it out there, Maritime music is not going away. I get a message today from somebody, and I won't say who it is, but you know who you are, and trust me, Maritime music is not going away. We go where the talent takes us, and when we line stuff up, if we have a Maritime person and they can't make it, or they don't want to participate, which is totally fine. We're all about not calling people out. We're all about not putting people on the spot. But if we get an international person that comes in, we got to take advantage of it, because a lot of people that are part of this group want to see that.
It's fair to say that we're expanding, Sean. And we didn't want to be pigeonholed into any one genre, any one geographic area. Like we want to be wherever the arts and entertainment and music world takes us. So that's kind of what we're all about. Sean and I will go anywhere. So that's kind of what we do. In fact, where are we going tonight, Sean?
Which leads us to our guest tonight. And this is, I tell you, I've been Facebook friends with this guy for a little while. And he's got such an interesting background. Anybody that lives in the Toronto area or, in Ontario would be familiar with a bar called the Rockpile, which is, I wasn't fortunate enough to ever visit it. But legendary. Our buddy Patrick Murlock from Fear told us all about it. Been hearing a ton of stuff, and so this guy, I tell you, he has some great stuff on Facebook. Go out, friend. You're gonna want to friend Junior LeClerc after this. He's got Maritime roots, which we're gonna talk about. But this guy, I tell you, he's a bundle of energy. He's hobnob with the who's who. And we're happy to have this dude on here. This is going to be a fun conversation. It feels like it's been a couple of weeks since we've done this, but this is going to be great.
Junior's all rock and roll all the time. You're going to love him, folks. Please welcome Junior LeClerc. And he should be right there.
Hey, sir.
Hello now.
So we started out by saying we'll start with this just to kind of break the ice, do the icebreaker. You have East Coast roots.
I do so.
So do tell.
It actually started for me. I was born and raised Toronto, actually, and unfortunately lost my dad way back in '69. And mom married a fellow from PEI. And away I went at the actual age of 9. And little did I know I was going to be riding my, for God's sakes, banana bike around the malls of Toronto to Little House on the Prairie. And I mean, literally.
Yeah, and I mean, it's beautiful country. It's great people. And if you get out this way, you should drop into Halifax, and we'll all go over to PEI, because we got friends over there. We can have a great time there, Junior.
So the schooling and everything there, actually, you know what? Even though music, I have a strong tie with that, and didn't realize a little bit later, it was mainly hockey for me. So I was fortunate to play some junior hockey. Maybe no pun intended there. But hockey was my primary sport as far as living down there. And it's a big deal, as you know. So, it's funny to hear Halifax. Actually, how I got to see the Maritimes was I traveled around with the Bill Lynch show.
Oh, that's all right.
Absolutely. I was the tilt-a-whirl guy of all things. That's where I started.
I love it.
Okay.
I think I lost a fucking girlfriend to you. I'm going to tell you right now.
That's me. I don't want to get into those stories, but type deal. But no, that's what I love the most about it. It's funny about, of course, I love PEI, but being able to travel around and have the fun, that aspect of things, of being a carny, as we were called. I ended up actually kind of fooling around because of this damn voice of mine. So I was now going to be a guy on the mic at certain rides that they had as well. So I loved it. So Halifax, I believe there's a lot of strong ties of the then former Bill Lynch shows out of Halifax. Yes, there is for sure. Because I have friends. Yeah.
Devil's Island. It was actually they used to own the island in the middle of the harbor, and they used to kind of check out their rides there.
Was that
Devil's Island? Sorry, Devil's Island it was called.
And I remember many times, because I have a lot of, and I love saying this, especially right now. I have a lot of black friends, so of course I had a lot of friends that indeed were, and I had no problem walking Godigan Street.
Mm-hmm.
Whatsoever. Did a little thing, you guys, because you look like you're around the age. Actually, they had a former broadcasting school under a strip club called the Lobster Trap in Halifax.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how well I know that. And then eventually, actually, my sister moved to, so I lived in Dartmouth as well for a while, down by the Micmac Canoeing Club.
That's our drive. That's where we live right now.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
We say Halifax, but it's kind of like when somebody says, "Yeah, I live in Toronto." Oh, yeah, we're about Oakville. Like, so we're actually in Dartmouth. We're in Dartmouth. So,
are you okay? Right on. How far from the real trailer park boys park are you guys from?
Dave's about a minute and a half, and I'm about 5 minutes. True story. Yeah.
Some of the folks up here, because we can tend to tell a lot of true and sometimes a little bullshit with it stories. But when I tell about knowing about that I had been at that trailer park, it's like, yeah, okay, sure, type of deal, right? But that's how idealistically how I got tied in with the Maritimes. And then it was kind of funny because of being a little bit older. I have an uncle that through marriage, I'm just going to grab something here. So when it became that the hockey thing didn't work out because of knee injury down east and whatnot, all of a sudden my hair was getting fucking longer, and I started hanging around actually with a good friend out of Charlottetown, still in radio, Colin McCauley. Is his name. They were then CFCY before it became FM.
Okay.
And so we were kind of fooling around with some music thing. And the reason why it became such a tie for me, well, my uncle married the sister in this band called A Foot in Cold Water.
Yes.
This is actually unreleased material of A Foot in Cold Water.
No way.
On reel to reel of all things.
Wow.
So outside of that, because it was actually a Collins dad in Charlottetown, God bless him, he's in heaven, but Loman McCauley was a big, the voice of the Maritimes for many, many years down there. He helped me with a bit of radio thing. So I went in and did a bit of a voice thing in the radio aspect of things at this broadcasting school underneath the strip club, after I went to the strip club, of course.
Sure.
Type deal. And the love of music was, I'd found out with some roots there, kind of gave me a bit of a boost. I'd always listened to it. Fuck, I'm an Elvis fan, and was growing up with uncles that were introducing me to the Rolling Stones and this type of thing. And, now the hair is getting longer. Then now it was Alice Cooper, and I see that Kiss poster. And then quite frankly, because I was more of an Alice Cooper fan first, but then this fucking album came out.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Type thing. But anyway, to kind of speed up the story on that, just to kind of give you a quick route in the music thing. So now I'm not a coke addict, but like a cocaine addict, I was so addicted to music, whether it was because of my hair was getting longer, I don't know. In a way, I thought I would take my roots and go to Toronto. So that's why after the schooling, as I say, and the hockey and a bit of the radio, just a bit then of the radio thing, I was interested in more being a frontman, singer, in a way I went to the city of Toronto, which is, again, my home, really.
So, and down here on our coast, I mean, we were always starved for concerts. I mean, it was really tough to actually see, live bands because, we're kind of geographically, it's a little tough. So we always were kind of looking to the Toronto scene and that type of thing. But I remember getting up there, and I played on it, but years before, hearing how competitive it was and cutthroat. Was it always like that? And was the radio business like that when you were kind of coming up?
Which question I can answer on both there, actually. I'll answer the music industry. You know what? I don't know if I would. I guess at one time it became competitive because it was kind of, I guess that's really a really good question on that side of things, because it was kind of my thing. I went to, I did singing lessons, try to do this professionally. Actually, Gino Bonelli's singing teacher, I had the same singing teacher. So I tried this avenue, and I'm going to the Gas Works in Toronto, Rock and Roll Heaven, all the bars, the Rockpile and so on at the time, trying to be this front man in music. Well, holy shit. And then we go up to Peterborough and I'm running into now, Bach, I call him, but Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
You talk about something that can fucking deflate a guy that's trying to be a singer. Well, you just got to be in the company of Sebastian Bach and you go, oh my God, I'm Fred Flintstone now.
Yeah.
So to get and answer the second part of it there, what was happening, and I didn't even realize it, is anytime I was going somewhere, people, and including the carny business, and I'm very humbled by this, trust me, you have this fucking very unique voice. Why don't you work in radio? And so I made a decision. I don't know what year it was. Actually, I can tell you what year it was now that I think about it. It was the year I met Karen, who was Lee Aaron, which would have been 1978, 9. She was singing tributes to Heart then in Bramalea, Ontario, or Brampton, Bramalea, they're side by side type of deal. So then I just decided, you know what, I can follow this avenue and I can still be vital. And it was this thing of music. I had seen it a long time ago that how much it does for people. And I think the singer frontman thing was truly, as I said to Baz, who's been down there a lot from the Bon Jovi tribute, it was about girls, let's just face it.
Yeah, it always is. It always is.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
Type deal. So that's why I pursued the radio thing. So anything on the radio, I can answer some more on that aspect. It was quite a trip.
So you got right into Q107 when you got settled in the radio business, is that right?
Well, you know what? It's like being in a band, guys. You don't start off. It really ends up being, as I said to Baz, it always comes to my mind when people ask me this question. It really is WKRP song. We're up and down the dial. You start off at a small radio station where you get bumfuck paid nothing just to be part of radio because it's really cool. So I say that respectfully. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has to, but it's like the band thing. You have to start off as a band. Doesn't matter if you even suck at this point. You grow from there. You
got to earn your stripes, and it makes sense. Sure.
Absolutely. And then you, sad as it is, again, it's so similar to the band thing, guys, regards to marriage or relationships. So you have to, in most cases, you have to travel to another town and or city and sometimes province just to that dream. So my first time full-time gig radio was in Woodstock, New Brunswick.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought that I was amongst children of the corn.
Yeah, well, it's a lot different now. It's a lot different now.
Now, let me explain. It just, again, but keeping in mind that I'm used to, and I really am, and I respect it more so than you would imagine about the Maritime friendship way. It was just now, you see, I'm this rocker guy, and I'm a little bit older and a little bit more full of piss and vinegar, so I'm going now in reverse again. So now because as I said, I went from riding the banana bike to Little House on the Prairie to now back in the fucking city again, and now I'm going back to the country type deal.
Yeah.
And the gentleman's nickname, and I can say that I really don't give a shit. He's probably dead now. But his nickname in the industry was Rick the Prick McGuire.
Oh, he's a good friend of ours. No,
yeah,
I'm just shitting. Yeah, I'm just shitting.
It doesn't matter. But you know what though? Here's what I would say about this. Okay, he was first off. He was the first guy that ever gave me a chance. Okay, that's the best thing I can say about him in regards to that. It was a full-time job. And he was the most critical boss, but yet it's ironic the years later. I called him back years later and thanked him, regardless of the station not working out, on him actually being that much of a actually good coach that I wish he would have kicked my ass more.
Okay.
Well, and I think everybody in the music business has one of those Rick McGuires, right? And I think you need one of those guys,
yeah,
right?
True. It's
yes.
true.
Because that's the motivation to either not backslide or get better or whatever. I mean, you hear countless stories. It's neat to hear a radio person say that, because, you know, nobody ever really wants to, you know,
Yeah.
name names or out anybody, but
Yeah, I did have a karma sort of, no, I shouldn't say a karma thing, but the reason why also to call him back though, because back then I was trying to make him understand where the industry was going. And what I'm getting at is I was saying, listen, this new country's coming up and it's just like they're copying the Eagles. Why won't you allow us to play the Eagles on this country station? Oh, I forgot to tell you that. That's how much I wanted radio to give it a 10. It was a country station, guys. That's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, at the time. But again, if you believe in any dream, you will follow it. But anyway, to my point with that is I was explaining, can we get that play? Can we get some Stevie Nicks played on there? That's this crossover. And why I bring this up, it's funny about, it was only a few years later that all of a sudden the bang of this new country with Garth Brooks. And this is the reason why I called him back to see and say to him, I told you so.
Yeah.
Type deal.
So you were Johnny Fever and he was Andy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Hey, isn't that so perfect, right? Type deal. But yeah, so from there, guys, again, it's back to I always compare it because it's so much so compared to the band thing. So now it's back to Ontario with your sort of tail between your legs. I call it, this band didn't work out. And then I've done, I guess, to speed up the story, from Peterborough to Lindsay to Ottawa, the Ottawa Valley, Alberta. Yeah, it was actually 13, almost 14 years of the dance.
Wow.
Type deal. But I'd love to share some funny stories in radio with you.
By all means.
Please.
So I'm in the Ottawa Valley. And the OER network, funny thing is, owned by a Maritime station company. And so quickly, this story just goes simply as this. So they've hired me to now do the afternoon drive. And so I come on the air and I said, well, it's 2:25 in the afternoon. Just had a reporter from the Kingston Penitentiary that apparently 2 convicts have been seen outside the Ottawa Valley area. Apparently they got into an accident with a cement truck. So please be on the lookout for 2 hardened criminals. Now, it's clean humor because you can't swear on radio, as you know. This is AM radio as well at the time, type thing. Well, here's what happened is the phone lines went crazy, and then finding out the reception comes running in. She goes, what did you say on the radio? I was then J.R. LeClerc. I said, I just told a joke. Well, people are calling that there's hardened criminals, and now the police have called us. So apparently the police phone lines were now going crazy, because people didn't hear the whole joke. All they heard was there were hardened criminals in the area. Best job I ever got fired from. Next day, the now, well, he was a shithead. Good, he's gone to heaven. I don't really care, or perhaps hell. The then program director, he calls me into it was an egotistical thing on his behalf. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, more than anything. So he said, I want to see you after your shift. I said, all right. So I go in and sit down. Then it's cassettes, of course. And on this cassette, it says, JR's criminal activity.
Oh.
Okay. So he plays this thing, and I started laughing. He goes, you're a real cocky son of a bitch. I said, cocky? I said, whatever. I says, that's just hilarious. He goes, well, we don't find it very hilarious. You're fired. I said, what? I said, you're firing me for getting the station attention and for telling a clean joke on the air. Yes. I said, awesome. He goes, you are a cocky son of a bitch. I said, I really don't care. If I ever have kids, Bob, I said, what a great story to tell my grandkids about getting fired for telling a fucking joke on the radio.
A dad joke at that, yeah.
Get your shit and get out of my office. I said, awesome. I have a contract, so before I leave, you owe me this much money, blah, 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 blah. So I left the OBR network. That's one story in radio.
That's funny shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is why Sean may be able to do it, but I can't, because I can't curb my potty mouth. I just couldn't do it. I mean, It be.
Yeah, I would suggest maybe you can. You know, it's funny you say that because it's like anything. If you were into it, into a studio and all that, after a bit, it becomes. I used to be able to kind of do if you guys were in the on-air studio and go, oh yeah, that's son of a bitch. Blah, blah, blah. It's 7:27 with Junior LeClerc, but it just becomes you shut it off.
Hmm.
Friend
Just
of
like
mine
a
says it's
wife,
like
just
right.
like a wife, you just shut it off.
A friend of mine says it's like talking to your mother. You don't swear in front of your mother until you just picture your mother being in the room. Right?
Very, very much so. So that was one of the funnier sides of it. But again, you know what? It's the same deal there that I've actually shared that I'll get back to. Of course, my latest in the last couple of years, Rockpile. But what I'm getting at is when I introduce bands, not just at Rockpile, in my travels and getting back into it in 2010. Man, oh man, because there wasn't any pressure, guys. But what I'm getting at here is it was a real discovery because I went to PEI and all the way out to Vancouver. And what a reminder of the amount of talent that we have in this country is
Yep.
just, let me use that word, sick. It just is. And to try to do anything with it over the years. Well, you know what? The track record, as I said again to Baz, we did a simulcast thing back with a while ago, which is why I bring up this recent conversation in my mind. That I don't care if it is Nickelback or who it is. If you're Canadian, in the last 25 years, we've kicked so much ass, type deal. That it's amazing. It
In
just
all
is.
genres too, to be fair, Junior? Like not just
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? In the country aspect, back to a PEI tie there again. A acquaintance friend that I was down in 2013 did a fundraiser. He had actually an unfortunate stroke back then. He's healthy now, but a up and coming and really popular country star, Corey Gallant.
Mm-hmm.
In talking with him, this man, why I bring up Corey because with the Maritime Association and all this thing called music is, well, he won a contest for Canada, not just, and no offense, I don't mean it this way, not just the East Coast, but for Canada.
right.
And he was at the CCMAs, that's the country, the Canadian one, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Type deal. So that's one example that kind of comes to mind in regards to even that field. Other ones, you know what? I am also Métis. So a tribe called Red. I'm told they maybe have split up, but in that, I guess they're a hip hop type of style. If I'm not, I hope I'm categorizing them correctly.
Yep.
I do know of their music and whatnot because of as I say, the Aboriginal tie that I have. But that's another example in that category. Rock, I mean, holy shit, I don't know where to start. I really don't. Back to the fortunate part, which we'll get into that maybe more later after the radio, but it's just the tie in with that has been so relevant, guys, in regards to where I've been, whether it be in Halifax, whether I'm in Winterpeg, whether I'm in Kelowna, for Christ's sakes. Last year, here's an example in regards to what you were saying. I arrived and I was still fucking kind of whack from and I say that with pun intended, from the KISS concert, because we drove straight through to PEI. And I'm not even checked in. And my girlfriend would tell you, this guy's going, as I'm checking in, I know who you are. You're somebody. And it's like, okay, yeah. And he goes, you're from I said, yeah, okay, thank you. And it's just the association of in all of this tie type deal. So we can get back to some radio, and I can share some more of that before I go too far into the music.
So you left the Ottawa Valley, and like the guys in Dick, you got fired for telling a clean joke, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Where does it go then? Back to Toronto, or?
Everything has come back to my home base for my tail between my legs has always been my true other heart because I need water. Is Georgian Bay. Is Georgian Bay. If it isn't ocean, it's water in regards to that. So then it was the dance to Peterborough for a bit, Lindsay, And then there was the I just fucking gave up almost, because it's such a tough. It's the same thing as being a phenomenal guitar player, guys. Okay, you can have 1,000 people tell you how phenomenal you are, but there are another 1,000 guitar players out there.
Right.
Yep.
You're humbled by it, and don't believe in your own hype for shit's sakes, but stay true to who you are. So in the association, what came up was an opportunity to go to Alberta. Now, this station, they had then were doing, it was new to me, this conference call, similar to this, but only over the phone interviews. So it was at K-Rock, which was in Cold Lake, Alberta. And so I'd agreed because, quite frankly, I got to be honest, the money was very, very good. I loved the position because it was going to be afternoon drives. So I bring up the over the phone thing because it's like an audition again. You see, here's that reference again of trying out for a band. It's quite I think, process that a lot of these people do in regards to these interviews. So you, of course, do it all, and you send off your stuff. You guys would be familiar with that. You send voice samples and so on, right? And besides the over the phone stuff. So so you've made the audition, you've talked with the band, and again the radio station, and yeah, you're the guy. So getting out there, I was there not even a day, and I went to air right away, and very, very fortunate, I have to say. The tie with people has always been amazing. Now, what helped again was back to this Maritime tie. Holy shit, 70% at least are Maritimers. So to be able to talk the talk and let them feel like they're at home and all that, like we understand, well, it's easy to do. Problem: when you hire a guitar player for a band, you best not be a better guitar player than the guitar player in the fucking band, meaning the morning guy.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
So I bring that up simply because what was happening as I'm doing the dance around is the response from the listeners. That's what they say this is supposed to be about. I say bullshit. In regards to the listeners, I say it's like everything, it's advertising. But anyway, very, very fortunate. I had a bit come up that I love sharing. Of course, you guys know that our Air Force is in Cold Lake, Alberta.
Yep.
So I did a bit when the anniversary of Leonard Skinner came up, of them passing back in '77. And little did I know that all of a sudden this page blew up, and it was pilots checking in and calling me in regards to this. And what the story is in regards to the trivia, if you're not aware of, is quite frankly that they ran out of fuel. That's how Leonard Skinner died. But back then, the technology, they didn't have that, so they had to measure fuel with the fucking stick.
Okay.
Put it in the tank, like checking your oil, and see how much fuel you have. Now, in the story of this, that of course you have to do your research that I checked. Well, this gentleman didn't even do that. And that's all he had to fucking do, is check the fuel. And if he would have, we'd still have Leonard Skinner today type deal.
You had one fucking job. That's right.
One job.
Fucking job.
So the pilots, of course, the jets and all that informed me that up there, of course, because it's butt fuck cold, like everything. But anyway, that they have to do the same thing today because all that technology freezes up.
Yep.
Type deal. So I say that because I never look at, as a rocker, as a, I'm a very kind person and whatever. In my travels, I'm even a Christian type person. But I never would have dreamt that that this would be such a cool thing to have our Air Force involved, and it made their day and how much whatever type thing. So, and I got to interview Alice Cooper as well. So besides that, it was a short trip from Cold Lake, Alberta, to say, okay, you got to go. And I said, you know what? Between that, and I will not get into this aspect from the Aboriginal side and the racism that goes on, including the people that work at the station, I said, see you later. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that stuff's obviously, come to roost, and obviously, the way things used to be and used to be done are not acceptable anymore. We're seeing countless examples of that, which I think is great. The time had to come.
Yes. But yes and no, which I guess I kind of don't give a shit anymore, so I can share that. But I'll get to the Q107 story in association in a minute. So that was the Coal Lake story. So I kind of said, you know what, that's enough of this bullshit. So I was very fortunate to tie in with my roots of Aboriginal here locally, and for a couple of years I was the media relations director of the Georgian Bay Native Friendship Center. And idealistically went and helped out a little plug for Niche Radio on Bosley Island, Christian Island, Ontario, no charge. And it ended up being a pay position as the media relations director. And that tied me into some people that I wish I could say names, but I really don't want to, and I will not. But anyway, of a gentleman that was part of Q107 I wanted to talk, but anyway, I won't say his name. But anyway, that so they had. I was so excited for the Aboriginals because there was no station in Canada at the time. We're talking 2017, guys. That you could call that we were all aware of and actually ask for an Aboriginal song to be played. Which at the time it was. Think of that for a sec.
Yeah.
The people that were, no offense to anybody, but the people that were here first.
The oldest culture we know. That's it. The oldest culture here.
Yeah, there was no station. It has changed a little bit, but that you could call outside of a private, type of thing, maybe that you could, even a Tribe Called Red as the example. There was a fight to. That's a little bit later, but anyway, so they were going to be opening up this station, and they asked me to be the morning man. This was going to happen in Toronto and one other place, and I'm not going to say the other place just to be safe, keep my ass safe. And they did. Anybody that's interested, they can look it up. And so when I went there, first off, they didn't have any of the equipment hooked up. They didn't have a to-date air. I was signed on June. I'm there June 21st of 2018. Okay. So all this equipment is sitting in these studios in boxes. Everybody's getting paid, and they still don't have a date on when this is going to be hooked. And I'm going, great to get this pay. I was making $80,000 getting paid to check this out, guys. Do nothing. So it became a really weird feeling. So I indeed asked I do not want to say his name, but the person in charge at the time, I said, I have to do something. What was like, well, we'll go and get to know Ottawa. Oh, I said it, sorry. But anyway, so, and also go to powwows and once you go get some greetings and all that. So of course I did all that in the store. So September rolled around and at one of these meetings. And the meeting was, of course, we're a little bit closer now. Things are getting hooked up, but we still don't know the air date because of the tower problems. And okay, whatever. But we need to find out, does anybody here know how to smudge? Are you guys aware of what that means?
Very much so, yeah.
It's like saying to the Pope, do you know what the Bible is?
Yeah.
So I'm not, as a man that very well spoken and can talk very well, I still sit back and go, something's not right. So October rolled, and I think it was October, and meetings there, but still no date, and offering I'm sure you guys are well aware of the morning drive and show, and the afternoon drive is their highest paid.
Yes, I would presume so. Yeah,
it's radio.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, it was kind of a buyout option. Wink, wink. And I'll end it on that in the fact that I had come back to my elders here, which are so respected, and I was very much so feeling down about not being able to be the voice I wanted to be in taking on this role there, and to find out that it wasn't the first time that I'll just say, because you don't got to be careful how you use the words. Somebody talked somebody into millions of dollars, and yet they only have a contract for 3 years, and then they walk away from the project.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, once again, fuck you, radio. Just again, that's 2018 type thing. So we can do another radio story though, a really cool one. It was 1989, and this really fucking cool station came on the air called Maximum Grunt AM 640 The Hog. Okay, which is sister station to Q107. And this guy came on the air, and I kind of chuckled because I recognized not only his name, but where I knew him from. And you guys are going to now laugh. I knew him from CKCW.
Okay.
Moncton, right?
Yep.
Gary Obie.
Wow.
Is his name.
Well, and it's funny because that's a lot of, like, to your point, a lot of the people, they start here, ended up there, and you know, it's almost like the armed forces in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good call. It's a good call.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Very
folks that
much.
came from out west and worked down at Q104 down here in Dartmouth and Halifax, you know, and earned their stripes down here and got some, you know, great accolades and went back to the big smoke again or wherever they want to go, Alberta or wherever, Vancouver or Toronto, you know, but they spent a number of years here too. So it's, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. It does make a lot of sense.
That route, but that was when this is when AM radio being in stereo just kicked in, because again we're talking 1989, guys.
Yeah.
Type thing. So real funny story with that, because of now knowing Obie, I've shared this, with Baz, because I always love this story. So I'm just going down and to see Obie, because I haven't really seen him in a few years, and so I get up down at the opposite. It was then formerly CFGM Country, by the way. That used to be picked up down east, by the way. But anyway, outside of that, that's what the AM 640 The Hog turned into. So he comes out. Oh, how you doing, Junior? Blah 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 blah. Come on in the office and da da da. So we go in and chat and how's things and oh yeah, what's happening? How's mom and dad down east? All that, you know, Eastern talk and how's things. And I'm loving the radio station because they kind of had a almost a American radio type attitude with it. So it had some real balls behind it. Not knowing they were a sister station until then of Q107. But so Obie says, well, listen, Junior, he says, I don't have anything for you, but you can do some internship here. And, you know, that'd be good on your resume. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. I just realized another funny story. The guy's from fucking Halifax. He comes in the door. His name is Mickey. I can't recall his last name. But anyway, he was from Halifax. But anyway, he comes in. Oh, sorry to bother you, Obie. He says, but he goes, my mom had a heart attack and I got to fly. I need somebody to take this position. Here's the guy right here. Funny thing about timing, isn't it, guys?
Yep.
Wow.
So the job actually, I shouldn't say all it was, but at this time was a pay position, was to take all the promotion vehicles from the Hog and Q107 and take them to all the special events and be Santa Claus.
Okay.
Yes.
Fellas gotta eat, brother. Fellas gotta eat.
Well, quite right. Well, again, the cool thing about it, because when you're in this major market, in this case, you see, you're getting paid as the bus driver, so you're getting paid that kilometers. When I do cut-ins before the on-air stars at the time show up, you get paid for that as well because of the union, right?
Right.
And you're getting paid as a tech. So when idealistically in this movement, you're making 3 and 4 hourly paychecks at a time because it is major market type thing. So that was really like I say, cool. So with that, which was so cool. So anyway, Mickey leaves, and so we're sitting there. He goes, well, this is really cool. And all of a sudden, so he's at his computer. He goes, okay. And so he's typing in my name and all this shit, right? Because he's got all my info. And he goes, oh shit. He goes, before I go any further on this resume, he goes, Junior, he says, I have a very serious question to ask you. Now, usually, because you need to be bonded, it would be, in our time, do you have a criminal record? We've seen that on many resumes or applications, correct? No. No. Here's the question, guys. Junior, do you smoke dope? Answer, yes, I do. As a matter of fact, on my own time. That's great, Junior, because most of us here at Q107 The Hog do smoke dope, and we don't want some square coming in and fucking up our team. Welcome to the team. True story.
So how long were you there? How long were you at with that crew?
89, 90.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple of years, because again, it was the bump. I got to share a quick story with that though before I get to there. There's too many of the other ones though, and you'll really love this one with it. So anyway, it's the promotion vehicles, and again, quite frankly, with major market in this case, honest as shit, guys, you don't have to believe, but it's very true. The 400 is a major highway here in Ontario, as you know. So I'm going to Wasaga Beach for the long weekend. Girls are lifting their tops, the whole bit. You know, this is rock and roll. This is oh, terrible. Getting paid to fucking have a good time. Okay. So I arrive rather at Wasaga Beach. And there they have then it's changed now, but anyway, a main strip where one of the major, all those people that you guys know of from, that I know, Pat Travers, Lear, and everybody at this place called the Darnellas, right on the main strip of Wasaga Beach. And so anyway, so I pull into behind these OPPs just to make sure of the location. Now, I got to say, quite frankly, that what I had already done, because I actually, it may not be a true-blooded Maritimer, but I haven't drank for 37 years, but I still smoke weed. So I had smoked my morning joint and made sure, of course, I didn't stink, because all of a sudden this OPP that I pull in behind is walking towards me. This guy looks like he's 6'6", guys. The brush cut looks more like an army guy than anything. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, okay. Knock on the door. Come on in. This guy jumps in like a fucking groupie, like he's 10 years old, boys. Wow, is it a Q in the Hog going to be here all weekend, man? Blah, blah, blah. We're big fans, you know, because of the pig thing. I said, oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, and yeah, right. So he says, oh, my name's Todd, as a matter of fact. And I said, okay, cool. As you know, he said, I know you're Junior. I said, yeah, okay. I said, listen, I'm sorry. We did the Scorpions last night, Wonderland. And I said, I don't want to sound like a smart ass. I said, but as I said, I'm just, that's the Darnell, right? Yeah. I said, but I need to get a coffee. You want a coffee? I said, yeah, I'll go get you a coffee. This fucking OPP is walking away, and generally, boys, they're taking your shit or they're taking you. He jumps in his OPP car and he drives away, and I'm looking for a camera going, Ma, this is not happening. So 10 minutes comes back and he's got donuts in the whole bit type deal. So that is one of the funnier stories I could ever kind of share, other than stuff I can't share, regards to doing promotions and being part of the Mighty Q, was having an LPP go and get you coffee and donuts, because this time, or a cop, he's not taking you away. I call that funny shit.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get to the promotions from the radio business then? Is it just kind of a natural progression? Like people know your name, your voice, and then you're just doing the odd concert, and then now you're kind of the go-to guy? Is that how it happens?
Pretty much it's like that. Because I was just actually talking to a friend, a comedian from Canada, Barry Kennedy. But anyway, about promotions and whatnot. So yes, I actually had a company and tried that for a while. The last big show I did was actually, holy shit, now this is 2000, I think it was 2000. It was when all the Maritime Association again, the last members of April Wine were together.
Okay.
The last time, of course, because who'd we lose? Was it Greenway? Sorry,
Miles
no.
Goodwin left.
No, but who? I can't remember the gentleman that passed away.
Oh.
Anyway,
Jim Clinch.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, at that time, it was all original members of April Wine. The industry I could see was changing, and you guys would be very well aware of, and I say this too, and God bless any of, and I'll get it into my promoter friends in a minute, the hours you put in and involvement in any kind of a promotion, holy shit. Sometimes, you know, it is really not always a cash cow. It just isn't. So, you know, yes, I guess bigger events, of course. Yes, they're making huge dollars, but it just became tiring for me when I could be involved in a different way than carrying the whole load. Yeah.
So just to, I guess, shift gears quickly, because one of the things that kind of drew me to you when I was, was all your posts about the Rockpile. And obviously the stuff that's been going on lately has been the fact there's no shows.
Yes.
But you had some great pictures. You had some pictures of artists. You had some pictures of you on the stage. I've never been to the Rockpile. Now, when I was up there, Hot Rocks was still going in Brampton.
All right.
I missed Rock and Roll Heaven, but Nags Head North was still going. Yeah. RPM, which became the Government, was a huge place to go. I mean, I saw King's X there. I saw Dream Theater there. I saw, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Rockpile.
James Labrie actually is a good friend of mine there from Dream Theater. He lives here locally.
Right. And where are you living right now?
Again, I'm just going to say Georgian Bay, not too far from where he lives. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, because he was a drummer before he became a singer.
Yeah, and I mean his band. I mean, Randy Cook, that played with everybody, was in the band that he was in before he went on to Dream Theater. I mean, it's and again, the talent.
I could share a story in a minute about that, but so we don't get off track, and he won't mind there, so we can get back to that here in a minute.
Sure.
But okay, so yeah, and I have you know what? Back to let's talk about the Rockpile.
Yeah.
Well, here it is again. Back to association. Some local musicians, and Relic Dog is the name. They're out of Aurelia. Asked me to intro, because people really dig the way I do that. I do old school, but anyway, and quite frankly, this was going to be New Year's. Is it 2 years ago? I think so. And I know the main promoter is going to be sitting there going, hi, Steve. But anyway, about the year. But anyway, quite frankly, it was the Killer Dwarfs that were the headliner for New Year's Eve. And you tend to sometimes, because like I said, honestly, guys, as much, I'm very humbled about my travels and who I am and whatnot. And when people, let's say, recognize me at what I do. But anyway, so all I was doing is just showing up, and was offered to do the introductions, not by anybody at Rockpile, but for Relic Dog, and get to meet in person. Then didn't know him at the time. The main promoter, Steve Ho, and of course, this is who I am, and of course the boys told me, and would I be interested in doing the intro. So when I walk in the door, this guy, of course, it's a rock bar, long hair. He goes, holy fuck, he goes, that's Junior LeClerc. And he yells over, hey, Russ, look, Junior LeClerc's here. And I'm going, I'm honestly going, who is this? And when I go, he goes, do you remember me? Last time we seen each other was 1990. He goes, Jerry from the Killer Dwarfs. And I go, no, okay, yes, type deal. And then Russ comes over. And it was such a brotherhood, that a brother that you haven't seen in so many years, that has welcomed you and immediately made you feel like you belong here in so many ways. And in talking with Russ, and then in talking with Dom, is the owner of the Rockpile. Same deal. The atmosphere, I'll talk more about it in a minute, in every aspect. I had not felt that kind of a home feel since the Misty Moon.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, to drop another name. From that point, again, I always say this, and my friend said I should quit apologizing for it, and just like Jerry said, just be who you are. So they really dug what I did, and asked me to come back and do more. From then, the association became more of it, guys, more than I honestly realized. I brought up about when I came to Ontario, guys, and who did I say I met? Lee Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in walks fucking Lee Aaron for another show. And she's going, oh my God, this is the same like family you had not seen in forever. Pat Travers, another one that comes to mind, type thing. And the list of bands, which I definitely going to plug some of them here in a minute. It was a really awesome, cool reminder of, I love all musicians, okay? But when you're at a different level, as we call it, well, that is that stage. To grace what I call the stage of a Rockpile, of a Misty Moon, of a Key to Bala, and so on and so on, is a different level. Because if you're not that level, well, you're not going to get back there, are you?
Yep. Fair story. So drop some names, like, you know, because I mean, I've been seeing some of your posts, but drop some names for some of our people that are watching.
So I want to give some original names that of course, what I'll do first, and I have some really neat, and actually I'll share a quick sad story in a way too, because I want to validate this gentleman as I say it. See the shirt I'm wearing, by the way?
Yeah.
I can't see shit, you know.
Okay, that's okay. It's the shirt that we were going to, and I was yes, it was, or is rather. I was contacted by Mike Deo of the band 2112, and of course, this was in respect of doing a memorial thing for Neil Peart after his passing in June. I met Mike Deo actually. Again, this association, this bar is closed now, like a lot of venues in Hamilton, called then Boston Manor. But a friend of his, actually a huge, this guy has done photography for Rush for years in this association guy. I'm sorry, Donald, I cannot get your last name in my head. If I see it come up, I will. But you'll see him on my page. It is Donald. He's done a lot of the professional pictures for Rush type thing. So in that tie, guys, and I really respect Sean, what you said earlier, more than you realize about what I have put on here. What had happened for me, again, when I left, going back to the Rush tie, was these gentlemen from Alabama, when I was in Montague, Prince Edward Island, said, y'all heard of Rush? This is back in 1974. The album was so influential to me, to keep it simple. You can see all the stuff behind me. You don't want to get into the Rush paraphernalia I have. But 34 concerts later, since 74 is one example. Getting back to what I was referring to in regards to the music and these pages, and don't tell me Facebook doesn't help, because fuck you guys. This gentleman, I was going to do a show in Niagara Falls, and this gentleman first friended me, and then left me a private message that if I was going that way, that he lives just a little bit not too far from St. Catharines, no surprise. Now, again, I want to say this gentleman I never met, but I'm going to respect him because he died actually a week after Neil Peart, and this gentleman's name is Don George. This is Neil Peart's first drum professor.
Oh, wow.
This is the gentleman that invited me for private studio time to spend with him, to talk about him and drumming and Neil Peart and the whole bit. So this is why when this role came around, even they honored, for God's sakes, let's check this out, guys. It almost makes me tear up that when Don passed, on his wall, they put my picture of Don and I together on that wall.
It's amazing.
Again, let's remind you, here's quickly, no Don George, no Neil Peart.
Well, there's a picture I saw on your Facebook page of you at this, and it must be, now I heard it was happening, but there's a Neil Peart Pavilion, and it's a beautiful, beautiful statue out there.
Yeah, that we're finding out, unfortunately, and I'm a little embarrassed that I think that's just a mock one at this point, because I actually had another friend, Corey, who's very much involved a lot with some Rockpile shows and whatnot. It is in the works, but that's apparently it really is just a Mach 1 without, as I said, I'm kind of embarrassed because I usually do my research. So yeah, I don't believe, we're finding out that is not there, is what I'm saying.
Well,
Yes.
wasn't there talk of them taking Lakeside Park from, that was from the Crest of Steel album, I think, Lakeside Park, and they were going to change it into Neil Peart's park or something?
That is in the works, and this is from the family of Neil Peart in regards to, yes, Lakeside Park, but anything is not there at this moment at all. At all at this point, type deal. Like I said, that there's the other side. The funny thing about Facebook, but the realistic part of that, so we can touch more on this again, this phenomenal, God bless him, Neil Peart, is almost an embarrassment, but yet what was very real in his passing is they had fucking billboards that honored him in the States, all over different places. I'm sure you guys have seen those. Were very much so real. Oh, in fairness, too, of all my friends in Quebec, a lot of phenomenal musicians there, including my famous cousin, Felix LeClerc, folk singer. But they did have one there that I know was very, very real, type thing. So I don't get, but again, this is more talk, like I say, of quickly about Neil Peart more so than, no offense, Mike Deo in 2112, because we are doing a makeup show coming in the fall. Type thing, but so that's one of the bands. But real quickly, again, because I'm a guy that likes to give back, I want to make sure I give these guys a plug again, because I met them at Rockpile. I believe at the time they were backing up Lee Aaron, Rob Spratt, you can correct me, band called Midlife Crisis.
Nice.
Yes, great guys. They've also opened for Nazareth, and good type band. But I'm bringing these up actually with kind of a tear in my eye to a degree. But I'm also a guy that likes to validate people that have passed. So we're doing a fundraiser last year in Brampton, and Midlife Crisis was involved. And these guys, honestly, they're like us. They are very grounded guys.
I should clarify for a second, because a lot of folks that might watch this might get confused. I played in a band called Midlife Crisis, but it was based out of Halifax.
Oh, is that okay?
So that's what Sean and I like. That's odd, you know what I mean?
I knew the difference.
Okay, so
but you know, it's certainly not a patented name, so I'm sure there's a few of them around. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or we have a lot of midlife crises.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
right yes. So we're doing this fundraiser down in Brampton. I can't recall. I do so many what the cause was, but it was big enough that they were giving away a Harley Davidson. So I was very thankful to be on it. And of course, they were just one of the bands that were playing. So their set comes up. And I had left just for a brief, it was only like 5 minutes, and actually left the actual property. I had to go to the liquor store. And we come back, and there's fucking sirens everywhere, guys. There's police. We're waiting on ambulance. And so what had happened is their good friend and bass player died on stage.
Oh.
Yeah. His nickname was Rockstar. Tony was a really cool guy. He lived what his nickname was and type deal. So we actually honored him at Rockpile, I guess a few months later type deal. But I want to bring them up. And like I say, I'd like to validate. It was a sad thing. And I'm sure even Tony himself, like I said, at Rockpile when we honored him, when I did that with them, that he would say, okay, none of that shit there type deals. So they're one of the guys. And you mentioned Pat and the guys from Fear rather. I'm sorry, Pat. Again, at Rockpile, great guy. It was really a nice association to. I was never into that rock.
Yeah.
Type deal to a degree, okay, type deal. So when and he wasn't a guy that, like, and I always hate that shit, that pushed their CD on you, type thing. And he was never immediately at all like that. But anyway, so when I had a chance to listen to his CD, they have a new one out now. He probably told you that, type thing. So that's another band. Some regulars down there do a great job as well. So hi to Deb and the band Madam. I want to say hi to those guys. They're quite regular. They do a great job. Off the top of my head, just give me a second. Oh, where we go there?
Sean just
We're lost.
he's
There
back.
we
I'm
are.
back. I'm back.
There we are. Oh, so the band called the Addiction, Strictly Sabbath, the Aussie Experience, Steve and the guys. Also, Ted Axe. You may have known of Ted Axe. He's been around the rock and roll industry. Again, if not, check out any of these people on my page, type thing. I have a very slow computer, which is why I'm using my phone as well. So please bear with me.
No fear.
Type thing. So yeah, that's another one. And I just today, and he actually called me. Been a friend and worked with them a lot. Who I'm talking about is, and he's been doing this seems like forever. Robbie Cooper from Eyes of Alice. They're kind of like pretty much the bang-on tribute to Alice Cooper, in my opinion, in North America. Robbie also could be Alice Cooper's twin. Type thing. So that's another band that comes to mind off the top of my head. Al Riley just got married at the Rockpile. He's a longtime staple at the Rockpile with his band Catalyst. Steel Kitty comes to mind as well. Just going through, like I say, a few of them here off the top of my head. Oh, and of course, I do want to give a shout out again because we're talking about so much because we just recently, as you guys are very well aware, have lost Jerry McGee from Brighton Rock. So,
Yes.
God bless Jerry, type thing in that. So that's a couple that come to mind. Oh, Monkey Wrench, another. These guys do a really good, really awesome, rather, Foo Fighters tribute. Oh, Social Strife, that were, as I mentioned, we're at the Fuck COVID Fest. Another band that comes to my mind off the top of it. There's. You know what, guys? There's so many, and I'll kind of throw some in as we're kind of talking as I kind of go through. But here's what I want to say in regards to my travels and what I was saying about the level of bands. And I know that some of the guys have been down there, from my boys and crew to, of course, Baz in his Bon Jovi tribute. What I'm going to say from the fans' point of view, because it's really nice to be able to do what I do and then go out there and kind of listen, and especially, no offense, to be of that sober ear, because like I say, I only puff. All the people that we grew up with, guys, they're not on tour anymore. We're talking from the AC/DCs to, quite frankly, Sabbath to you Skinner to you name it. And so what I've discovered in at least my travels is the love of the music is still there. So to hear it live is why it's still working from, as I've said, it is working still strongly today from Vancouver to Prince Edward Island. And I know some of the guys are sticky in regards to using the word tribute, but fuck you. I'm going to say that. But it is very true, and some of them are just. We did the. Who comes to mind is Rob from the Strictly Sabbath at the Fuck COVID Festival, and this is not a favoritism thing. Trust me, I always say if it is, well, it is. Bottom line. So what I was saying to my friends there, I said, if you close your eyes, I said, you would think that number one, when he's doing the other side of things, you would think he's, quite frankly, Randy Rhoads.
Wow.
And I said, look, as an example, I said, and you guys have seen this from other players, but I said, look, you can't even see his hands moving, type of thing, because you have to be such an elite player to be that good. If you want to go up and call yourself a tribute, you better do it almost fucking bang on, because it's the fan that's going to kick your ass.
Yeah. It's actually probably be harder to be in a tribute band. And we saw it down here too. Now we did, Junior, where it's kind of cyclical. I mean, we used to have a bar in Halifax called the Network Lounge. The Network, for about 2 years, was strictly tribute bands. That's all it was. Would be tribute
Yeah.
bands that would play there. So it's the best form of flattery, I think, for to have a tribute band that had such a high belief in what the regular bands were. Is that what you'd say you're primarily involved with yourself right now? Is strictly with the tribute bands?
No, any of the shows again, I want to put a shout out to the main promoter, Steve Hogue. He's pulled into and Dom at Rockpile some major acts. So again, Pat Travers comes to mind. I mean, I know you guys are very versed on Pat Travers. Last year we had Striper there as well. The guys from Wasp, UFO has been there.
Wow.
The list, Gilby Clark has played there. The list is really crazy on the amount off the top of my head. That is, but any of the major acts, like I said, even Striper played there. They have. But I have a trick question for you with regards to that, and we're gonna kind of test your guys' knowledge. All right.
Okay.
So, with that, would you happen to know who this is?
Yes, because I saw a killer version of Glow in the Dark on, I want to say it was a Monsters of Rock cruise. Is that right?
That'd be correct.
And they were
What
killer.
what you wouldn't know is how they got to Canada. And one of the other reasons is you're looking at him. I had heard about them, I'm going to say no more than 2 years prior to anything. And of course, now I'm getting to know and the respect level and knowing that I've been around promoters enough, and I can say this regardless, that there's enough out there that are actually quite frankly bullshitters and blah, blah, blah type deal. But Steve Hogue has always been real and whatever. So when I brought up Liliac, he of course heard of them as well. I said, Steve, we got to get these kids to Canada. I said, Florin he's also the manager, their father. So he called me from California rather. And this is again a year prior. And so between, thanks Steve, of course, knowing talent like crazy as well, tied and talked to Florin. So we arranged for them to come. Their debut was at the Rockpile in Canada last year. Quite frankly, yes.
And I did see some of that because you had posted some of that on your Facebook page too, and
yeah,
I mean, they're just a bunch of young kids, and they just absolutely bring it. It's incredible.
Well, we kind of chuckled that we were kind of concerned. Just to keep it simple here, is holy fucking we hope they can play their instruments.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they can.
Well, you don't. This is the heavy metal of the Partridge Family coming. And like any promotion, well, they are. That's all family. You guys know that, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because which is so cool, type thing. Oh, there's a funny thing too, guys, which I'm sure you can respect this. All these years in the industry, I can't really remember the last time, because when you work in the industry, you don't, as we call it, bother the star. You're part of it anyway. So what I'm getting at is I've never asked for an autograph from any of them, and I don't remember the last time from anybody, but I did ask for the kids to autograph the posters. So it was so great that they came here and getting to know them. Do you know much of their background that I could maybe share?
No.
They're from Romania, and they actually live for real about, I think Florin said, about 5 miles from Dracula's castle.
Wow.
Type thing. And so he's primarily the main drive behind the family and what they've done. And as you mentioned, it led to, after the fact, the Kiss cruise and whatnot. It was actually the Santa Monica Pier where they got recognized before one of those reality shows, American Idol or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, was Stuart Copeland that kind of gave him a kind of a boost from Sting's drummer, Stuart Copeland. Yeah,
well, that says something, because he never gives anybody a boost. So they got
Yes, and you know what? Not to give them all the plug here, if you will. They were really, really grounded kids. So nice to see that in today's world. I'm not a father, respectfully myself, but at that age, because when they were here last year, I'm probably wrong, but I think it was like um, 10 or 12, the youngest, or 9 even, the keyboard player up to the guitar player's son. I think he was 16, maybe 17.
Wow.
Whereas the two girls were in between there, if you will, age-wise, and of course the bass player. So yeah, so they did a great job. So it was very proud moment for me to be part of that show as far as Rockpile goes. Yeah.
That's
Jimmy, we
incredible.
want to be respectful of your time. Now we've had John for quite a while. I want to ask a couple quick questions before we close. First of all, back to the Rockpile and what's going on in your scene right now in Toronto. What now, previous to COVID bullshit, what were the crowds like? Like what kind of attendance were you getting?
Great question. Again, I'll use the travels. It was about the same as it is from PEI, almost not so much Alberta, but to answer, and I would never give up a numbers thing in regards to the shows. But what I'm getting at is I can honestly say this, which again is a nice thing for me to see. Being, and again, no offense, people, a non-drinker, is it's all about Canada and the cost of going out. And with that in mind, again, my opinion or not, but I really believe it's real. Most families, couples, whatever, it's hard to afford to go out because of the cost of. Now, what do you guys pay for a beer at your club? There is one example. Is it $8?
Anywhere from $6.50 to $9.
5 to 7, yeah.
See, there you go. So, you know, and that's kind of where we are here, not just Rockpile, but as the example from how I remember. Again, I don't buy beer, but it is around there. So the point is in regards to cost. So now you have, they've also made the ticket cost very affordable as far as I'm concerned for the talent that you're getting, whether it be a tribute, because again, these guys kick it. You're not just going in and seeing I'll use the phrase another tribute type deal. So they make it very affordable. So so to answer the numbers thing, it's that. But yet when they bring in the Lee Aarons sellout type deal, because she does have a following, yes, because she's local to a degree, it helps and whatnot. Pat Travers, yes, same thing. Maurice and my boys and the Blushing Brides, kind of, it's sometimes hit and miss, depending on if it's a Friday or Saturday sometimes as well, guys.
Okay.
Type thing. So, but to kind of really answer it in a nutshell, it does account for the bigger act in regards to a sellout, and we do well, they do well. But yet on the proper night. And here you see more so than say Halifax, Steve and all the guys have to investigate on where other shows are going on that are local, because we deal with Casino Rama. So back to the affordability thing. Yeah, maybe it's an hour and a bit to Casino Rama, but people are such gambleaholics that they're either getting a free concert pass because of being a frequent flyer to see Leonard Skinner, to see Styx, to see CCR, and so on. So if they have to pay, it's around the $60 to $80 to $100 mark type deal. So it's about that cost thing. Even when I seen Alice, well, I don't pay anyway, but Allison changed there. The cost is there that people will. It just becomes a factor. How about we say that?
Sure. If we could do this, if we wrap, because we went back, you were talking about you had a James LeBrie story.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to wrap with that.
No problem. And I'm not in any hurry. Not that I want to take up a whole lot of your time either, guys. Seriously. Okay. So we're at a jam, and James is there with his wife, and he likes wine, by the way, just for the sake of conversation. So I said, well, how you doing? How's it going? Kevin, right? I know him as Kevin. His other name, let's say. But anyway, good. I said, oh, how's it been, man? What have you been doing? You've been doing radio, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny to see you because I haven't seen you since you're at Q and this type of thing. And yeah, blah, blah, blah. he goes, it's funny. He says, I was then auditioning for Dream Theater, and you were at Q or somewhere. It's funny that we hadn't seen each other in years, and so we're doing the rap. So to the story. So I said, okay, because he's got some wine in him, and I've got now a couple of joints in me. I said, okay, Kevin, tell fucking, he met me as JR, so I'll say JR. I said, tell JR, what was it like to go to the fucking Grammys? I said, come on, give it to me. So he said, well, it's really cool. It's like you see on TV, JR. He says, you pull up and it's the red carpet, but you're getting out of the limo. You're not in those barriers, and you're walking that red carpet, and there is all the stars that you grew up with, from the Kid Rock to the whoever, blah, 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 Bob Seger, whoever that comes to mind off the top of your head. So, and then you go in, and of course you're seated accordingly, type deal. And again, same deal, that you're sitting where you are with the VIPs, and it's so kind of cool that you're sitting around all these people that influenced you and inspired you. Type thing. He says, but he goes, I didn't really realize it, he says, until I got back to the hotel room that night. He says, but if there was ever a Grammy moment, he says, so he goes, we go back in the green room. I said, oh, okay, cool. That's I always love green room stories. The guy I'm going to bring up in a minute is really in a lot of trouble right now, but I'm going to save the story anyway. But anyway, so he goes, and there's Kid Rock. We're in the green room. There's Kid Rock sitting there. And there, there's so and so, and da, da, da. He goes, but over in the corner, he says, all these women are surrounding somebody, but I can't. I'm thinking, is it Bon Jovi? But you can't see who it is. So he says, finally, he goes, the seas of women parted, and it was fucking Ron Jeremy, the porno star. So the story goes, he looks over and he goes, Junior, he goes, I practice fucking drums, as you know, for fucking all these years. All us musicians, he goes, we practice, we live it, we live it, blah, 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 blah. He goes, we've lost relationships, we spent thousands of hours to become famous, blah, blah, blah. And what's this guy famous for? His fucking cock. So he goes, if you want to know the definition of a rock star, that's a fucking rock star.
I can't think of a perfect. So, and we're gonna do a part 2, because I know you get a ton more stories. But I think that's a great story to end on.
Okay.
A friend of ours out here who's a huge Dream Theater fan, and he would love that.
Okay, yeah, and there's so of course lots more, but that'd be great. So, yeah, that's perfect. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your time. I tell you, man, you are every bit the hoot that I thought you would be when we're back and forth on Facebook. And be well. We'll get you back on, my friend.
Yes, thanks very much. I had a lot of fun. And again, I am just who I am in regards to personality. So it sounds
Junior's
like
an entertainer. We can tell right now. He's an entertainer. Yep. That's awesome.
Perfect. Okay, guys, be well, and look forward to talking to you soon.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
Take care.